Stella is totally crashed over there on the floor, and I don't want to talk loud and disturb her, but at the same time I have to make a video, so hopefully I can just let the sleeping dog lie. I wasn't even planning to make that joke when I started that sentence, but it worked out too perfectly. Hey there, Internet, it's story time! In 7th grade, I got a cell phone. That is to say, my sister and I got a cell phone that we shared mutually because one of my older brothers changed plans, and so we got his old number because my family figured why get rid of the number only to have to get one in another couple years. So we were both in middle school, we both shared the phone in case we needed to contact my parents for some reason. I honestly think that the only time I really used it for that, not even then. I'm not sure I ever ended up using it for that purpose. I just felt really cool that maybe, just maybe, I could actually text somebody at some point in my life. Remember when texting was a luxury that not everybody had and it was like a status symbol? That was a weird time. That's not the point. The point is that fast forward a year, my sister went off to high school and got her own phone as a freshman, which meant that I just kind of by happenstance ended up with my own phone as an 8th grader, which was just like the height of luxury for someone in my family. I think that my oldest brother didn't even get a phone until he was in college, but that's also kind of because phones weren't even really a thing until he was in college. So there I was, a lowly 8th grader, still in the height of awkwardness, but suddenly finding myself with an artifact of unimaginable power, a cellular telephone with which I could call and text, and that's pretty much it, and even not that all the time because we still had limited minutes and messages, so pretty much it was just a thing that I could point at and say, look, I have one of these too, will you be my friend, please? Except there was one problem. At that age, and still even to a certain extent today, I was and am terrified of talking on the telephone. It's a skill that I've had to develop now working in an office and interacting with all sorts of people largely over the phone, but back then it was a terrifying prospect to answer the phone, not entirely certain who was on the other end, and say words in some semblance of a logical order. I didn't trust myself to be able to do that. The first test of this complete lack of skill came when I got the phone and I had to set it up for the very first time, and of course I had to record a voicemail greeting. The logical among you may say, but Johnny, when you're recording a voicemail greeting, you're not actually talking to anybody, you're just saying your name, a quick little message thing that everyone says exactly the same thing, and then you wait for the beep and then you're done. My little 8th grade brain was not that logical, and as a result, I found the prospect of speaking into my phone these words of greeting just as terrifying as if I were speaking to the most important person in the world, i.e. the girl upon whom I had a crush at the time. Because let's be real, that's the most important person in any middle schooler's life. So there I stood in my bedroom, silver, chunky flip phone in hand. I opened it, I pressed and held 1 because that's how you used to access your voicemail. I waited for the prompts and then I spoke, stuttered, stumbled, vomited words into the recorder, and it was terrible. Fortunately, I had enough wherewithal at the time to know how bad it was, and so, I figured I can just delete that one, I can try again and do just as badly, and then I can try again and do even perhaps worse, and then again, and then again, and then again, and then again. I kid you not, I spent well over 45 minutes recording my very first voicemail greeting, and only then did I quit, not because it was good, but because I figured it was the best it was going to get. Let's listen.
Hi, you've reached the voicemail of Don Barlow. After the tone, please record your name, number, message, and favorite Crayola crayon color, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks. Bye.
I will be honest and say that it's not quite as terrible as I've always remembered it being. However, there are several clear flaws with this message. First of all, as my wife is quick to remind me, it sounds like I say that my name is Don Barlow. There are 2 factors in this. First of all, for some odd reason, I was still using my name as John, which had started in 4th grade and I thought had ended by the time 8th grade rolled around, but I guess I thought it sounded more professional for a voicemail greeting, so I did John instead of Johnny. BT dubs. No one calls me John. And second of all, due to my terror, I had a complete failure in enunciation and pronounced the J pretty much just like a duh, so my name is Don Barlow. The rest of it's decent, fairly boilerplate of course, until the very end where, humorist that I am, I felt compelled to add some little twist that would make my voicemail unique. And so, I stole a joke from, I don't honestly remember what right now, but asked people to leave their favorite Crayola crayon color. That's right, it's from Elf. I straight up plagiarized Elf in my voicemail. And yet I couldn't even get the joke out all the way without choking on my own spit halfway through and saying favorite Crayola crayon color. which BT Dabs has become sort of a running joke amongst my very close friends who knew me way back in the day. The point of this story is A, to laugh at a fairly humorous circumstance from my past, the fact that it was this terrifying and difficult for me to record a voicemail greeting, a not very difficult task. But B, much more the point, is that this is something I should have changed and moved past a long time ago. I'm 24. I recorded that message like 11 years ago? That's terrifying. And I've never touched it. Sure, part of that is because I think it's actually kind of funny, especially in light of who I am now. But B, it's because I don't want to admit that I am no longer that 7th grader. Well, I'm thankful that I'm no longer specifically that 7th or 8th grader, but I wish I were still a kid sometimes, a lot of the time. And this is a small part of my life that I've clung to as a sign that, hey, look, I'm still this person and not an adult with a job and responsibilities and an ability to speak on the telephone. And I've reached the point where, as much as I sort of miss my childhood, and as much as I don't want to get rid of this voicemail wholeheartedly, I have recorded it so that I can keep it forever, I can recognize that I need to move on, to admit that I am an adult now and take responsibility for something as mundane as my voicemail greeting. Plus, I'm sick of feeling the compulsion that I have to answer my phone if there's any chance it's someone real calling me, because I'm mortified that a professional colleague will hear that voicemail and know the horror that was 8th grade Johnny Barlow. Or at the very least be very confused about who Don Barlow is. Which is why here, before all of you, I'm going to record my new voicemail message. Say goodbye to Don Barlow in his Crayola crayon colors. I'm ashamed of the fact that this actually makes me somewhat sad, but that is my lot in life. Boop, boop, boop.
If you would like to re-record your greeting, press star. To replay your greeting, press 1.
Do you see this? I'm starting to tear up thinking about having to change this. I have problems.
At the tone, record your greeting. At the end of your greeting, press pound.
You've reached the voicemail of Johnny Barlow. I'm not available or near my phone right now, but if you leave me your name, number, and just a quick message, I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks. And it's done. I would like to point out, however, that it still took me 3 tries to get it, even at this point in my life. Maybe I will never grow past that completely. And I kind of like that fact. This is already way too long, but I just want to say that I don't think there's anything wrong with being a childlike person. I love being a childlike person and celebrating in imagination and play and those things, and I think that those are valuable skills that more adults should cling to. But I'm slowly starting to learn that there are times when being childish gets in the way of taking the adult responsibilities that I need to take in my life, and I think that this is one of those times. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to stop doing things like playing with the Lego that are sitting on my desk right next to the camera. Is there anything in your life that you feel like is kind of holding you back from actually taking hold of your adult responsibilities? I'm curious, let me know down in the commente section, and while you're there, why not leave your favorite Crayola crayon color? See you next week. Deuces.